Ghost by Jason Reynolds. Chapter 3, Part 2. What would you have done? I asked Mr. Marshall. The tears were teetering in and out, and I was trying my best to keep them in. You ain't never been pushed before to the point you couldn't take it. Principal Marshall cocked his head to the side and studied me. Then he hunched forward again and put his face in his palms as if he were remembering a time he went through this. Then he wiped his hands down his face like he was washing that memory away. I'm going to deal with Brandon, but you, he said, his voice now a little softer, you got to get it together, Castle. I know you've been through some things, but you just can't keep doing this. He stood up from his desk and came around to the front. I'm not going to give you full suspension this time, but you do have to go home for the rest of the day. He reached behind him for a big black telephone. Here, he held his phone towards me. Call your mom. Now, I knew that Principal Marshall was letting me off the hook big time, but there was no way I could call my mother and tell her that I needed her to come get me from school. No way. I hadn't even really been on the track team, and I was already about to be kicked off. I hadn't even been to a practice yet. Plus, what was I going to say? That I punched a jerk for talking trash about me? I mean, this is what happened, and as awesome as that sounds, my mother would have hit me with the, how many times do I have to tell you to be the bigger person? Followed by some crazy punishment that involved me coming to the hospital with her, which was always whack. I can't, I shot back at the principal. You can't what? I can't call her. He looked around confused. Why not? I don't know, I said, trying to think of a good reason, a good lie, but nothing came. I just can't. Then it hit me. But I can call my uncle. Your uncle, he said matter-of-factly, like he knew that was impossible. The other thing I should tell you about files is that sometimes they have way too much information about you in them, stuff that don't be nobody's business. And where is this uncle? He's working, but he can come get me. Why haven't I heard of this uncle before? He asked suspiciously. He's been gone, I explained, trying to keep a straight face, looking him dead in the eye. But he's back now. Yikes, not really that smooth of an answer. Mr. Marshall just sat there squinting at me, one eye slightly more closed than the other, tapping his leg. Then he humped and handed me the phone. Call him, he sighed. I unzipped my backpack and dug around for the card that said the Defender's Coach in black block letters. I dialed and waited while it rang. Come on, pick it up, I thought. Please, pick it up. Yes, it was Coach's voice on the other end of the phone, but he didn't say hello or nothing, so it caught me off guard. Hello, I said. Who's this? It's me, Castle. I spoke low into the phone. Ghost. Ghost? Boy, what are you doing calling at me? He paused, I guess to check the time. At 12:22. Ain't you in school? Yeah, but I need you to come get me, I said, looking up at Principal Marshall, who was staring a hole in my head. I was trying not to say uncle, which was what he was waiting for. I got in trouble. What? Coach said. Before I could say anything else, he told me to hold on. 9:75, Mom. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Then the sound of a door slamming. Now, what you talking about, Ghost? I got in trouble and they're suspending me for the day, so I need you to come get me. Why are you calling me? Why don't you call your... And before he could even answer his sentence, he answered his own question. Oh, I see. Kid, you're already killing me. I glanced up at Principal Marshall again. He was getting antsy, and I knew I only had a few seconds before he snatched the phone. Turns out I had even less than a few seconds. Give me the phone, Principal Marshall said, getting up and grabbing it from me. Then he aired everything out. Hello, Principal Marshall here. Is this Castle's uncle? I dropped my head and waited to pretty much be body slammed. Yes, well, I need him off the premises as soon as possible, just for the rest of the day. Principal Marshall sat on the edge of his desk waiting for me to look him in the eye, but I wouldn't. I just looked around the office at all the posters that said stuff like excellence and discipline, and he had pictures of past students, probably kids who did excellent things, disciplined things, holding ribbons at a science fair, clutching a trophy, some kid giving the camera a thumbs up like a cornball, probably all good students, not kids like me. Mr. Marshall was Coach, okay, I see, okay. Then he handed the phone back to me, but Coach had already hung up. Principal Marshall walked back behind his desk and took a seat. What did he say? I asked, bracing for the slam. He said he'll be here in a minute. It would have been the worst mistake ever to smile, but I sure wanted to. I sat there in the office while the principal went on about his business, flipping through folders, clicking at something on his computer, scribbling in a notepad when I finally asked him about the pictures of the different students on the wall. Who are those kids? I asked, biting a fingernail. Must have snagged it in the scuffle. Principal Marshall looked up from all his busy work. You don't get to ask me any questions until tomorrow. he snapped. His tone was sharp and I could tell he wasn't playing. I don't want to hear your voice. Your job right now is to sit there and wait for your uncle. Got it? I just nodded and sank into myself. Thankfully, it wasn't too long before Coach came marching up the hallway. The look he gave me was just as bad as the look Mr. Marshall had given me, which were like the looks my mum gave me whenever I was in these situations. The "I'm so disappointed with you" look, which is way worse than "I'm mad" look. "I'm here to get Castle," Coach said to the secretary, Mrs. Dixon. "Okay, just sign him out," she said. Coach scribbled something on a piece of paper, checked his watch, jotted the time down, met the principal, shook his hand, apologized to him for what I did, and we were out of there. On the way down the hall, Coach didn't say a word. Not a thing. But as soon as we got in his cab, he lit me up. "What were you thinking, telling those people I'm your uncle? Do you know that's probably against the law? I'm not sure if it is or isn't, but it probably is. And if it is, you got me out here committing crimes. I've known you for one day, and I just kidnapped you." I kept quiet because Coach was really mad. Plus, I was super grateful that he came and got me, and I didn't want to say anything to mess that up. Shoot, he might have turned around and took me back to the school if I said the wrong thing. Then finally, after a few minutes, he calmed down a little and asked, "What happened anyway?" "I got in a fight." I stared out the window as we passed Mr. Charles's store. "Care to elaborate?" Coach pried. "Okay, so there's this dude, Brandon Simmons. He's always getting on me about my mom and where I live and how I look and all that. And today I just couldn't take it no more." I faced Coach. He glanced at me and then back down the road. So I jumped on him, beat him down. "And what? You think that makes you tough?" Coach scoffed. I thought about it for a second. "I don't know." "Does that make it right?" he asked. What is it about adults that makes them all say the same things, like they all studied the same book about grown-upness, memorizing phrases like, "Does that make it right?" and "be the bigger person"? I just shrugged, spoke with my shoulders. I kind of wanted to say, yes, me punching Brandon in the face makes it right because he'd been begging for it forever. It made it right for everybody he joked on, and those kids would have given me their honor roll certificates for what I did. That wasn't the answer Coach was looking for, but man, that's how I felt. Coach drove through town, and eventually we ended up at Martin Luther King Park. He said that since I had cost him half a day's worth of fares, the front seat wasn't even junky yet, I would have to make it up to him by putting in extra work on the track, which was fine with me. Coach grabbed his whistle and clipboard from the glove compartment. "Okay, here's how you're spending your suspension. We got us 3 hours before practice. We're going to use this time to get you caught up on the way all this goes." How or what goes? "Being on my team, boy." I could tell he was still irritated, but not as much as he had been. We headed over to the track, the bright white lines marking out the red lanes, the green field in the middle. "Okay, so first things first, where's your practice clothes?" Coach asked. Them," I said. "You have on jeans and high tops." He stated the obvious. I looked at myself. There was a stain on my sneakers, a new one, maybe ketchup or chocolate milk. "So," I said, "what's wrong with that?" Coach sat down on a bench, stretched his legs out. "You know what? Don't worry about it. We'll figure that out later. Let's just start with some stretching." Apparently there were a whole slew of different kinds of stretches, and Coach showed me how to do them all. Each one was for a different reason. This one for part of the leg, that one for part of the leg, another one for your back, then jumping jacks, toe touches, push-ups. It all seemed silly to me, but not as silly as the next part, the 2-lap warm-up jog. Me and Coach bounced around the track, him telling me to keep my arms tucked, which was actually hard to do. He said form is everything when it comes to running, and that it has more to do with form than how fast your legs move. That didn't sound right. To me, it seemed like if my arms were tucked, but my legs weren't moving fast, then I wasn't going to be beating nobody. Just common sense. But then again, I didn't think a 2-lap jog as slow as we were jogging would get me going, but by the time we finished, I was pouring sweat. Good, he said as we got back to the bench. He bounced around on his toes like a boxer before finally said, settling down, "Feels good, don't it?" I wiped my face with my shirt and took a seat. I was tired and energized at the same time, which was weird. I didn't do it to make me feel tough, I blurted out of nowhere. Coach stopped bouncing. He sat down next to me and grabbed a towel from his bag. "What are you talking about?" he asked, wiping sweat from his bald head, more like buffing it off. "Well, what you asked me in the car, if beating up Brandon makes me tough," I reminded him. I said I didn't know, but I do. We locked eyes. The answer is no, it don't make me tough. Coach moved the towel from his head to his neck. "So what does it make you then?" "I don't know, but not tough." I thought for a second, because for something to make you feel tough, You got to be a little scared of it at first. Then you got to beat it. But I wasn't scared of Brandon at all. He's just a big guy with a big mouth. That ain't really all that scary to me. I've been thinking about this when we were running around the track, warming up. In between Coach's tips about form and all that stuff, my brain was kicking that question around. Let me guess, Coach said, now flinging the towel over his shoulder. You're one of those kids who ain't scared of nothing or nobody. Nah, I chuckled just for a second because I knew the kinds of kids Coach was talking about. The kids who say they ain't scared but really be scared of everything. Like kids like Brandon. He talked all that trash and teased people because he was shook. A cupcake. But that wasn't me. I ain't saying that. I've definitely been scared of somebody before. Real scared, I added, thinking about how loud a gun sounds when it's fired in a small room. That's how come I know how to run so fast. But now, the only person I'm scared of, other than my mother, I mean, like I do things I know ain't cool, but even though I know they ain't cool, like beating on Brandon, all of a sudden I'm doing it anyway, you know? So I guess the only other person I'm really scared of is, maybe it's me. A grunt seep from Coach. He rubbed his right knee. I hear you, kid, he said, wincing, stretching out his right leg, bending it and then straightening it. Then he did the same to the left. Trouble is, you can't run away from yourself. Coach snatched the towel from his shoulder, folded it into a perfect square and set it in the space between us. Unfortunately, he said, ain't nobody that fast.